What is up, guys? We are back again with a new video, and today we're gonna be going over on how to play Kimmy. So I decided to make a Kimmy tutorial because she's been falling off the ban list quite a little bit recently since Esmeralda just came out, and Kai just starting to get banned all the time. Lunox gets banned all the time, and Heart still gets banned all the time. So it's like the perfect time to actually able to play Kimmy. So since she doesn't get banned as much anymore like she used to. So first, let's look at what my experience is with Kimmy. I'm currently 37 stars into the season, this current season right now. My highest is 504. My win rate on her this current season is 86% with 43 matches. And a lot of those were actually solo, because if you guys did not know, I actually soloed all the way to Mythic by myself at the start of the season, and until I wasn't gonna play with anybody else until I get to Mythic. So, but I did get to Mythic. Once I got to Mythic, I started grinding with my teammates and stuff in my squad. So now, we're getting up there to go over 100 stars and stuff like that. So first, before going over anything with Kimmy, the first thing you need to know is her mechanics. So going over the mechanics, the very first thing that you really need to know is how to use her normal basic attack. So her normal basic attack is used by using the second analog stick to your right. And you actually gotta aim this, it's not an automatic thing. But it aims automatically when you're close to a minion. Let's say you're facing this way, and if you press it, it's gonna automatically aims at the minion, the closest enemy next to you, by the way. So keep that in mind. That can actually help you go from facing this way, and you don't have to. You can just press it instead of going all the way around. You know what I mean? So let's talk about her first skill. Her first skill pretty much does magic damage instead of physical damage. Her normal basic attack does physical damage. Her powered basic attack does magic damage. And it's also an AoE damage. What an AoE means is area of effect. It has explosive damage, and it hits multiple people, where your normal basic attack only hits around 1 and rarely 2 sometimes. I think you can hit 2. I'm not really sure, but it's more noticeable that your first skill activated hits multiple targets compared to your normal basic attack. Now, her basic attack, when it's activated, the first skill, also has a longer range compared to her normal basic attack. So let's use this yellow triangle as an example, the one I'm standing on. Using her normal basic attack, it pretty much touches the tip of that, a little bit over the tip of that yellow triangle, right? What a yellow diamond, not a triangle. It's a yellow diamond. And when you have your first skill activated, it's going to go all the way down the stairs. And it's a lot further, and it's a lot more noticeable. Right? So keep that in mind. That's also very important. You're going to want to use your first skill activated to harass people out of lane and take advantage of your range. Let's go over her second skill. Her second skill is pretty much a dash, but instead of going to where the arrow points, it's going backwards to where the arrow is not pointing. Alright, so for example, you want to go over this wall. You're going to want to point backwards to go over it, right? Instead of forward. If you go forward, you'll go this way. So make sure you know that. And it also gives energy back when you're running out of energy. So for example, keep track of the energy bar. It's like almost low, and then you use your second skill. It gives you like a little bit less than half, right? A little bit less than half of the energy bar. And it also does a little bit of damage when people step on your chemical trail as well. But that's not her main damage, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Don't worry about where the second skill chemicals go. Don't worry about that. Now for the ulti, it pretty much charges up, and the more you charge up, the further it goes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't have to charge it up all the way to do some damage. Not charging it up all the way compared to charging it up all the way, it does a little bit more damage when it's all charged up. But of course, don't be afraid to just use it right away if you really need that kill secured, and to get some energy back, because your ulti also gives you energy back as well. I'm gonna say energy back so much in this tutorial, it's gonna be pretty annoying, so bear with me here. It's gonna give you as much as your second skill, but you need to hit a hero. If you don't hit a hero, you're not gonna get energy back. Okay, so now let's go over some tips and tricks. Now, for the tips and tricks, whenever there's lane minions going down the lane, they're pretty much at a straight line walking, right? So, for example, let's use these Laylas as an imitation of a minion wave. Okay, just an imitation. I don't know how much minions are usually on the first wave, but let's just say it's 4. And you're facing them in front, and you have your first skill activated because your first skill is what you wanna max out first, right? Um, when you're facing them, you're only gonna hit 2 minions because you're only hitting 2 Laylas, right? And the Laylas at the back don't even get hit at all; they still get full health. But if you approach them from a side, from an angle, like a 30-degree angle, you're gonna hit more people. You might not kill this third Layla right here, but you will deal damage as well. Okay, you will deal damage to that Layla as well. So it's a lot better and more efficient of wave clearing whenever you're hitting multiple targets. Okay, so instead of that, you can go from here and hit more Laylas. See, instead of 2, I was hitting 3 Laylas before my energy even ran out. Let's kill all these Laylas for the tutorial's sake. Now, people might be asking, what combo do I need to do for Kimmy? So there is actually a combo for Kimmy, to be honest with you. The combo for Kimmy is pretty much first skill. If you have your first skill activated, keep it on, and then when you're almost running out of energy, before you run out of energy, this is very important. This is super important, so pay attention. Before you run out of energy, please use your second skill, because if your energy runs out all the way empty, your first skill will deactivate automatically, and that's really important. Let's just say that we have full energy, right? Let's wait for the cooldown for the second skill to just, show you what I mean. It takes less effort whenever you use your second skill while your first skill is still activated and you still have a little bit of energy left on your bar, rather than letting your energy run out. Oh yeah, let it run out. Your first skill deactivates, and then you press your second skill, and you're gonna want to hit first skill again. That's just more effort. You're doing more effort and more work whenever you hit that first skill again. So the main point here is you're gonna want, to hit that first skill less, and by doing this combo, you're gonna be more efficient on team fights, and you're gonna deal damage more faster and more efficiently to enemies. So the combo is, let your first skill almost run out, then second skill, and then first skill again, and then ulti for the kill, and then you get energy back whenever you use that ulti, and then your first skill is still activated, so you don't have to keep pressing it. So that's the main point. The main point of that tip is to not keep hitting first skill. You always have it activated. It's pretty annoying to keep pressing it whenever you run out of energy, to be honest. But at late game, you're gonna want to use your normal basic attack whenever they're close enough, because your normal basic attack will do more damage, especially with the build I will give you. And your magic damage is gonna do less. As you can see, it's only 294 to 331, and compared to your physical damage, it's 365 to 474, right? So yeah, try to use your normal attack late game, alright? Early game, you're gonna want to use your first skill activated all the time, but late game you're gonna want to use your normal basic attack, since it's stronger than your magic damage with your first skill. So keep that in mind. That is very important. Okay. Again, for the ulti, there's not much to say. The second skill is pretty self-explanatory. For the ulti, again, you don't have to charge it up. You can just shoot it right away to get a kill. Don't be afraid to use it because it gives you energy back. And that's about it for the tips and tricks. Actually, I forgot one thing. Yeah, we're not. That is not about it for the tips and tricks. How do you bully people out of lane? People are asking. So let's say your minions are coming down the lane and they're about to hit the tower. So the tower is gonna be hitting your minions instead of you, right? Until you hit a hero. If you hit a hero, the tower will focus you instead of your minions. So what you want to do is go back and forth with your first skill. So let's remove this real quick because it's auto. Remove these bots right here. And add another one right here. Boom. So whenever someone's playing really passive, that's because they're really scared of being harassed out of lane. So they're most likely gonna be at this area, around this area right here, or all the way back here if they're really scared. But if they are in this area, this vicinity right here, you can actually harass them out of lane. So what I do is I wait for my minions to go in and I activate my first skill. What I do is I poke a little bit and go back out. Poke a little bit and go back out. Now it's gonna be really hard. If you time it correctly, you actually won't get damaged by the tower since the tower will be focusing on the minions instead of you. But I'll show a more efficient example later when I do the gameplay. All right. Right now it's kind of hard to imagine what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can. So pretty much what you want to do is go back and forth, and pretty much force them out of lane. Once you force them out of lane, you can go with your minions and get the tower. Easy push. But you need to be aware of the people ganking from the river. They can go from here and go from behind and kill you since you're so aggressive. So that just comes with your map awareness. So make sure you know where the enemy teams are, especially the mages and the tank at mid lane. You don't want to get ganked and die. All right. So let's go over the spells, emblems, and the items for Kimmy. So let's start off with the emblem for Kimmy. You can actually use Jungle Emblem for Kimmy, you can even use Mage Emblem for Kimmy, Assassin Emblem as well, depending on your build. But for this build I'm about to give you, I will use the Jungle Emblem. You might be asking why, that's kind of weird, why the Jungle Emblem? So when you're doing a 5v5, even at solo actually, objectives are really important. And this talent right here, Mage Killer, increases the damage to Lord and Turtles and Towers by 15%. And you get less damage from Lord and the Turtle by 20%. So that really helps whenever you're taking objectives, really fast. If you wanna take it really fast. Now, that's not the only reason why I picked Jungle Emblem. Jungle Emblem also has this thing called Hybrid Attack, plus 12 whenever you have it maxed out. If you have 3 points into it. Since my build is a hybrid build, it's physical and magic damage. It has a mix of both. This is why I use Jungle Emblem. So like I said, it depends on your build. That this hybrid attack really comes in action early game, and late game actually, to be honest with you. So that adds up, that helps Kimmy a lot with the first skill and her normal basic attack. And for the second row, I use Knowledge, which it's lowering the cooldown of your battle spell. And we'll talk about the battle spell after this. This is really important because usually for battle spells for Kimmy, since you have a lower cooldown reduction on it, you have it more available to you more often. That's actually pretty self-explanatory. The lower cooldown, the more it is available to you more often. Okay. Now you can also use Assassin Emblem as well, to be honest, with physical attack and physical penetration if you want to go full AD. Only if you want to go full AD. Now, the bad part about this is your first skill activated will not do a lot of damage mid-game to late game if you have full AD build. So, what does AD mean? AD means attack damage, and AP means ability power, which is magic damage, alright? So, just knowing the vocabulary so you guys understand me. You can also use Mage Emblem like other people do if you want your first skill to do a lot of damage early game to mid-game, and slow people down whenever you're using your first skill with the Ice Queen wand, which we will discuss the equipment later. All right. So that's usually the 3 emblems that you can use: Jungle, Assassin, and Mage. It's all up to you. The Mage emblem gives you movement speed, magic penetration for your first skill, and it gives you that burning damage whenever you deal 7% of the target's max HP. So that's really good. That's an additional damage whenever you have this talent. But it depends on your build. What I generally recommend is the hybrid build, since the hybrid build tries to take away her disadvantages. Okay, so let's go over her spells. Now for the spells, there's only 2 spells that I really consider. It's between Sprint and Purify, but most of the time you will use Purify. And why? You're gonna want to use Purify whenever the enemy team has a lot of crowd control, like any other heroes. Let's say the enemy team has a Cho, and Cho manages to kick you. You can use your Purify to get out of that sticky situation and counter that. And another example, let's say there's an Akai on the other team, and the Akai manages to get you pinned on a wall with his ulti, you can use Purify to get out of that situation. So that's really, really good. Now, the only thing bad about Purify is when the enemy team has a Kaja. If the enemy team has a Kaja, you're going to want to use Purify and predict when Kaja is about to ulti you. Purify doesn't work on Kaja ulti, so make sure to do it before Kaja ultis you so it works. I don't know if Mobile Legends will change that mechanic. I don't think so. I think they're going to keep it like that to where you cannot Purify Kaja's ulti, and that's why Kaja is super, super OP right now in this current meta. And now, for the sprint, you can use sprint if they don't have a lot of crowd control. Like hard CCs, like let's say Grok. Grok doesn't really have a hard CC instead of a slow and a knockup. If you don't get knocked up, you're kind of good. With the sprint, you can manage to run away. You can also use sprint to get away from assassins like Fanny. You're harder to cable. It's harder to hit you with the cables whenever you have a faster movement speed, and you can juke him out and sidestep the cables. And also with Lancelot, if you sprint and sidestep the second skill of Lancelot with your sprint, that'll help you a lot. Now again, if most of the time you're gonna want to use Purify, so make sure use according to the enemy team comp. Okay, now let's go over the equipment. Now for the equipment, the general build that you're gonna want to use is the first row, which says hybrid. That is the main build that I use because it takes away the disadvantages of Kimmy. Now for the first build, it gives you magic penetration so that your first skill is a lot stronger early game against the enemy team. And you're gonna want to use Blade of Despair for your first main core item, except for the boots, to power up your basic attack, your normal basic attack. So why Blade of Despair first instead of Ice Queen Wand? Blade of Despair is first because Kimmy's disadvantage when you build her magic is when she runs out of energy, she's pretty much useless because her normal attack will be super, super weak. And that's why you build Blade of Despair first. That also gives you a little bit of movement speed, so you're harder to catch when Kimmy's roaming around and trying to micro you. Now, the second core item will be Ice Queen Wand. The main point of Ice Queen Wand is to give you that little bit of lifesteal whenever your first skill is activated. And it also slows down enemy whenever you're hitting them with your first skill activated. Ice Queen Wand will not work if you only use your normal basic attack. It doesn't slow the enemy down. So you have to have your first skill activated to slow enemy down. So this is super, super good whenever you're chasing someone down, like if a tank is out of position and you can slow them down so your team can catch up and kill them. This is super good, Ice Queen Wand. And go with the Berserker's Fury with the third core item for the crit, because Kimmy's normal attack, you don't need attack speed on her because her attack speed just turns into movement speed if you build attack speed on her. Crit is really good because her basic attack, her normal basic attack is pretty fast, pretty fast. To be honest with you. And if you do crit, if you're lucky enough and you crit a lot, you're gonna deal a lot of damage with your normal basic attack. And for the Winter Truncheon, it's pretty much for survivability, pretty much. You're not, it gives you your first skill a little bit more damage, makes you a little bit more tanky with the physical defense and more HP. But mainly you're buying Winter Truncheon for the freeze, which helps you escape from some situations as well. When you're about to die, you can use freeze to bait the enemy team. Like let's say Goshan first killed you and then he dashed into you thinking that he's gonna kill you with the blades, but instead of him killing you, you can actually bait it out and hit the Winter Truncheon and you could survive, right? And your teammates can actually help you survive if you can delay them as much as possible. And for the Host Claws, I actually experimented on this. My build used to be 2 Berserker's Fury on this. But for the Host Claws, it actually gives you a lot of sustainability whenever you're using your normal basic attack. And so you can stay in lane more and in team fights more. You don't have to keep recalling every single time. So Host Claws is pretty much for sustainability because it works with her normal basic attack very, very well since it's pretty fast. Now, you can, like I said, she has many builds. You can either go for full AD, which is, let me change this real quick. This is supposed to be something different. I'm sorry about that. This could be like Demon Hunter Sword, but you change this like that. There you go. So the full AD build is the middle build. The bad part about this full AD build is your first skill is pretty much like non-existent. It barely does any damage once you get to mid game to late game, but it does a crap ton of damage if you have really good peel and protection on you with your normal basic attack. So if you think that you could be aggressive with the team comp that your enemy throws at you, use this middle build and use an assassin emblem as well. And you can also use jungle emblem, to be honest, if you want to go full AD, but that's up to you. Now, some people do as well is they just want some slow with the first skill. So they pretty much they go full AD except for the ice cream wand, because they want that slow passive with her first skill, so they can catch up whenever they're chasing someone. And then full AD, 2 Berserker's Fury, and a Host Claws for sustainability. So it's all up to you, whatever you want to build, wherever you're comfortable at. But to be safe, the more balanced Kimmy build is going to be the first one, which says hybrid. Now let's go over the gameplay. Now for the gameplay, we'll start this off by skipping a little bit and getting here. Alright, so the lane is about to go down and I see Hellcat right here. He actually doesn't know that I was in the bush, so I get a little bit of harass on him. And I'm trying to wave clear these minions. Whenever I wave clear minions, you might be, as you can see, I try to keep Hellcat from getting experience. And I actually faked him out by going in the bush real quick and him going aggressive on these minions right here. So he gets stacked and I harassed him even more. And look at his health. He's super low. And this is what I was talking about earlier on how to bully people out of lane. Just keep going back and forth. Keep going back and forth to force him out of lane. And, he's not getting those last hits on those minions. So he's significantly getting less gold whenever those minions die. Now, I'm going to do the crab to kind of bait him, because I know he's really low. So if he goes for this crab, he might die. But since he's super low, I managed to get the crab super easily without even anybody contesting. Now I'm waiting for him to get back in lane. If he's not in lane, go for the tower. Another tip is your first skill activated does not hit the tower. If you have your first skill activated and you're trying to hit the tower, it's not going to hit it. So make sure you use your normal basic attack whenever you're trying to hit the tower. Again, here, this is what I do, trying to harass people out of lane. If he's really far enough, so I keep going back and forth and activating my first skill, going back and forth. That's what I was trying to explain earlier with my tips and tricks. But it was hard to explain since the Layla bot was not moving. But here, as you can see, Grok is here to help me as well. Kimmy's wave clear is so strong. Since I knew that Hellcat is getting bullied right here, we can do turtle. He was super low. They don't even realize that we're doing turtle, to be honest. And I know that these minions right here, the small minion and the red buff, is actually getting wasted. But that's worth it. Make sure that it's worth it whenever you bully people in lane and you're not missing enough farm. Okay? So since the Hellcat doesn't get farm, I'm getting farm from the lane. And he doesn't get any farm from anywhere. Except for like the small minion over here and just a little bit of XP and gold when he doesn't last hit those minions that are going down the lane. And now that we got turtle, I managed to get the jungle at that time to get more XP and the buff. I got the turtle buff as well. Turtle buff is super strong on Kimmy because it does true damage and it slows people down. It's like an ice cream wand, but it's a miniature ice cream wand, early game ice cream wand. And that is why I use Purify. As you can see, Guinevere managed to actually knock me up and ulti, but since I have Purify, that saved my life. I was supposed to be dead. I was supposed to be dead there because there was a Hellcat, Guinevere. Guinevere got tilted. Look at him. He went AFK for a second. He's probably talking trash to Hellcat right now. And I don't know why Hellcat went for me, to be honest. I don't know why he teleported to me earlier. That was a really stupid play, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I got a kill from it. I got a double kill because Grok helped me. Again, whenever you're clearing minions, you want to stay at an angle instead of just going, facing straight. And whenever you're sieging a tower, don't have your first skill activated because it will not work. Okay. Since I'm so far ahead, I'm 2-0, I'm kind of not scared of Hellcat because I know he's playing super scared. And even if he does go for me, his ult should be still in cooldown for about like 15 more seconds. So I managed to steal by counter jungling a little bit down here. I didn't want to be too over aggressive to go for their blue buff, and I knew that it wasn't up anyways, so I went for the small minion instead. And since I pushed so fast, I managed to get that mid tower. And Hellcurt is just about to push bot tower, and he doesn't even do a lot of damage on the tower, to be honest. And I force him to use ulti again right here. He's so scared of me. He's like, he has PTSD right now. Man, he's having his worst nightmare. Nobody's helping him. His whole team is up here because Grok is like putting so much pressure. So there's, I'm gonna give credit to my teammates as well, because they're putting so much pressure on top lane that they can't even bother to help bot lane. And I can just bully this Hellcurt the whole game. And look at this. He just recalled and went back into lane, and he's already like 25% health. So he cannot go aggressive between me and Cloud right now, and we get this free tower again. And it's only 5 minutes in. We already got the second tower. And going back, retreating, of course, try to take the jungle as much as possible, counter jungle as much as possible. And whenever I have Purify available for me, I pretty much play as an aggressive Kimmy. If I don't have Purify available to me, I play pretty safe. But since I have Purify on me, I play really, really aggressive. And a lot of people want to pick Lolita to counter Kimmy. So whenever Lolita has her shield up, there's no point in shooting at her. So just wait for her shield to run out before using your first skill again and shooting at her, because there's no point in shooting at her when her shield is up against a Kimmy. You're just gonna waste energy. All right. So right here again, I use Purify. That was a really good use of Purify because I don't know if he was gonna petrify me, if he silenced me, but I managed to purify it in time and sidestep his second skill, and I managed to live. If he landed his second skill, I was supposed to be dead right there and then. So we're 3-0-2. We're pretty fed because we've been farming pretty consistently, and we got 2 towers from the bot lane, 1 mid tower, and they also got 2 towers from the top lane. So if you think about it, I got 3 towers in total. I got the mid lane tower, and I got 2 towers here from the bot lane. So that's really, really good. And I saw that the lane is since I don't want people backdooring us and just split pushing, because Hellcurt is known pretty much for split push. I want to wave clear. Whenever there's minions around this mid area of the lane, I like wave clearing it before rotating to other lanes. Okay, once I wave clear this, I can roam, get the crab, get the small minions right here, crowd counter jungle as much as possible, all the way back to mid lane. So this lane is pushed, so they need to defend that. I'm pretty much trying to control the rotation of what Hellcurt's about to do. And I see them having a team fight right here, so I'm going to be here to help out. Right here, I see Diggy really, really low. Again, the shield, I tried to shoot anyways because it was my normal basic attack. It wasn't my first skill anyways. That's why I kept shooting at Lolita earlier with the shield up. And Guinevere doesn't have, her skill was on cooldown, so I managed to kill her as well. But again, credits to my teammates. They were super low by the time I got to the team fight, and I managed to kill, secure the rest, and clean up for the team. Right here, Hellcurt gets scared again. He tried to use the second skill, but it was really far. Hellcurt's second skill doesn't really do a lot of damage if it's not point blank in front of you. And he's trying to kill me right here, and I'm trying to check the bush by using my ulti. Remember that I told you that Kimmy's ulti actually gives back energy. So one other tip that I couldn't show earlier is if you want to check if someone's in a bush, use a little bit of your first skill and then use your ulti to check that bush. And if you get energy back, that means someone's in that bush. All right, that's a good indication that someone's in that bush. So keep track of that. That's like using your skill, your energy bar to your advantage. It pretty much gives you more information at where the enemy's at. And again, harass people, use your ulti to get that kill secured, clean it up. And at this point, we're pretty much good to go. I'm pretty fed. Grok is pretty fed, not just me actually. And Selena is actually doing quite well as well. It doesn't even matter if this guy hits me with the Diggy time skip. Hellcurt, all Hellcurt can do is pretty much split push. If he doesn't split push, he's pretty much dead. And again, I told you earlier, try to use your normal basic attack whenever it's mid game to late game. So around whenever you get your Blade of Despair and your Berserker's Fury, you're gonna want to use your normal basic attack more than your magic damage. As you can see here, see, look at this. I'm just fronting them since I know that my normal basic attack does a crap ton of damage, since my Blade of Despair is already built. And my Ice Queen one is already done for the slow if I need to escape to slow them down. And on the way back, since I'm solo, before I recall or if I'm gonna stay. Usually I stay since I'm really cocky when I play Kimmy. Even if I'm really low, I stay and try to harass still. But it's not a good idea. But if you are confident in your play, you can do whatever I'm doing. Like look at this. I just try to use my first skill as much as possible to get some magical lifesteal back when using your first skill. Yeah, the enemy team can't do much here anymore, to be honest with you. And Lemerd actually went AFK, but we still managed to win. So it was like a 4v what? 4v5. But actually, Claude in this game was trolling, guys. Claude in this game was trolling. I don't know if you saw him earlier. And I actually die right here. Yeah, I die right there since I got way too greedy and way too overconfident. And Petrify managed to Petrify got me from Hellcurt, and my Purify was still on cooldown, I believe, or did I not use it? Let me check on it. Yeah, it was still on cooldown. See, it was still on cooldown. That's why I managed to die. But if I had Purify at that time, I probably would have lived if I sidestepped that second skill. So make sure to not play don't play too aggressive whenever you don't have Purify available. Okay, so that was a mistake from my side right there. Yeah, again, I was saying earlier, Claude was actually trolling. If you saw him earlier, he was ulting the air, and he was just farming the whole game. He's 0-3. So it was like a 3v5 pretty much this game. And I don't even know how we managed to win. And this guy's AFK. This guy went AFK a little bit. And yeah, to be honest, I don't know how we won. But yeah, I'm not even going to complain. So I'm 10-1-4, super fed, level 13 in 10 minutes 41 seconds. And right here, I don't even know why I gave that blue buff. Actually, I don't get. Okay, I thought I was gonna give it to him. I was like, I'm way too nice. Why would I give him blue buff if he's trolling? So I see Grok doing the Lord right here. If they contest this Lord, this is actually really, really risky. But if we want to finish the game, we had to go for it since there's only 3 of us actually trying hard. And I actually managed to get this Lord and secure it since I see people going for it. And luckily, even without Retribution, we managed to get the Lord with my first skill because I focused on it since they're about to come and steal it. If I don't focus it and I ended up dying, they're gonna end up stealing it. And I'm gonna try to recall to stop the split push right here. Lemerd went AFK all the way. So that's really good that we managed to get the Lord so we can push as a 3-man group. So Claude wasn't there to help, and it's only like again 3v5. Trying my best, and this is what I was talking about. An indication of knowing where the enemies are at. If you notice, where was it? I skipped way too much. Right here. I'm using my ulti to check the bushes. I got some energy back. I know that there's people around here. So I check that bush. Use every single thing that you can do to gain more information about the game. That was a really good ulti. And now I have Winter Chun-Chun, so I'm gonna be more confident. I'm gonna be more aggressive since I can bait them. Even if they're even if they almost kill me, I can just use the frozen skill. So they look at Claude. Claude is freaking trolling. Yeah, so I can manage to use the frozen if they manage to almost kill me, and maybe Grok can save me or Selena. All right. Again, I'm just trying to harass with my first skill, and this is actually really good tanking by Grok. A lot of pressure in the front line. Nobody's even going for me. Lolita had to ulti. I don't know why. Selena managed to get a stun, and I get to kill Hellcurt. And the game was over from here since Diggy doesn't have a lot of damage, and Lolita is not going to have damage as well. And we have the super minion, so I ended up finishing the game since it's only a 3v5, and I didn't want to risk making the game longer. Okay? So that is pretty much it for the gameplay, but let's look at the items I built and the statistics that I had. So I was only Legend 1 during this time. Like again, I said before, I was soloing a lot with Kimmy. This was a solo game, by the way. I did get MVP. Let's look at my items. It was only the last. Look at Claude was only AFK a little bit, and he managed to get bronze, and Lemerd managed to get silver even even if you went full AFK, which is kind of embarrassing to be honest with you. So but let's focus on my items. Again, this is the hybrid build that I showed you earlier. That last item is supposed to be Berserker's Fury. Let's look at my stats. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna check how much damage I did. I reported the AFK, of course, since I hate it, and I reported the trolling. And right there, here are my stats. I did 66% tower damage, and I did 38% of the hero damage, which is pretty much the majority of, I pretty much did majority of what the team did, but kudos to Grok. The Grok is right here. You just don't see him because my webcam's on the way. He did very good at frontlining. If I didn't have a frontline, I was going to be dead the whole time. So, credits to him, whoever he is. Okay, so that is it for the gameplay, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys learned something, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Thank you, guys. Peace.